Hi guys. So we're back. So we need to still write the equation of the circle. I have A and I have B, but I don't have my radius. What I have basically is, I'm going to come over here and draw my picture. I have the center of my circle, which is 0, 0. And then I have a point on my circle, which is somewhere over here, right? 11, negative 10. So my circle goes around like this. I know it's not a good circle, but let's just deal with it. Okay, so that's my circle. So I don't know what the radius is. I do know that it goes here. I know, such straight lines here. That's my radius. This is what R is. So I need to find some way of finding R. Well, I can do this, right? And I know this distance is negative 10 because that's my y distance. And I know this distance is 11 because that's my x distance. And because I drew it that way, I know that's a right triangle. So I can find R by doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or in this case, r squared, so I can find my radius. Sometimes I have to find my radius. They're not going to tell me what my radius is. And in this case, this is what I have to do. I have to find my radius. So I'm going to go ahead and find what my radius is. So I know that r squared equals 11 squared plus negative 10 squared. So that's going to be 121 plus 100. So r squared equals 221. And look, I have right here, it tells me that r squared equals 221. So I know what r squared is. I don't have to find out what r equals, because technically for my equation, I need to know what r squared is anyways. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and plug in a and b. So I've got x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals r squared, right? And I know what r squared is, and I know what everything is. So I know that this is x squared plus y squared equals 221. And there is my equation right there. So now we're going to do it again. We've got another equation here. I'm going to slide down a little bit. Here we go. So I'm going to try and see if we can find out where these points are here in my little bad drawing here. So negative 4, 1 would be somewhere in here. Well, let's say that's negative 4, 1. And negative 2, 5 is somewhere up here. So here's the center of my circle, and here's my circle going around, there. So there is my radius. Here's my radius. So I can go over here and then let me get a little different color here. Go over here and here. So I need to know what this distance here is and what this distance here is. Well, this distance here on my xy is 2, because this is negative 4, this is negative 4, and this is negative 2. Well, the distance between that is 2. And then the distance between 1 and 5 is 4. Okay, so now I can do r squared is going to equal 2 squared plus 4 squared. Okay? So r squared is going to equal 4 plus 16, or r squared equals 20. So now I know what r squared is. So I'm going to write my equation here. So I'm going to use a and b because I want to use the center of the circle, not what it passes through. The equation goes from the center of the circle. So I've got x minus a negative 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals r squared. I'm just going to put r squared because we know what r squared is. So we've got x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 20. And there's my answer right there. So that's going to conclude this part. Remember, I might need to draw a picture and find it. The other way you can find the distance between 2 points, I'm just going to write this down here at the bottom. I can find the distance between 2 points, which would be my radius, and I can do it this way. I can say my radius would equal the square root of x1 minus, oh, is it minus? Let me think. Hold on, let me think. Oh, yeah, x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So I take my x's and I subtract it and I square it. And I take my y's, I subtract it and I square it. I add those two together and I take the square root. That's how I find r. And r squared would just be without the square root. So r, if I was just looking for r squared, that would equal x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So I could use that instead of trying to draw a picture. It's the same thing. I'm finding the same thing. It's the difference between my x's squared, the difference between my y's squared, and I add that together. That's what I did. This is what I did here with visually. So I will see you back in a minute. Practice some questions. Make sure if you have any questions, you're asking them. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Bye.